host this evening. We apologize for our tardiness, but we will note that it is never because of me. I'm just saying.
You know what? You know one thing I can guarantee is it's never because of me. Because I'm the one set up the audio and everything. So
That's
I'm
true.
always on time.
That's true.
And as
He's
we're talking
always
about late, here comes
yeah,
What?
somebody now.
yeah. Johnny Quick
She's
is on
excuse
time.
me. I'm gonna be honest, because I'm the only one who be honest all every show. Sometimes it do be me.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I wasn't late today. Bam. There go. There go the information. I wasn't late today now. Bam. What's up, LV?
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Hey,
All
what's
right,
up?
all right. We are joined by LV and the rest of my fellow alpha males. How are you brothers doing this evening?
Doing wonderful. Wonderful.
All right.
Hey,
While Coleman figures out how to work the camera, coming up
Don't be
on
like.
today.
See, listen. If we are trying to do good, try to do good all the time. Don't try to do good some of the time. All right.
Coming up on the show today, we have today's perspective, which is the alpha males share their secrets and keys to success. Success is not measured by income, but rather by overall life satisfaction, which can include income and professional success, but also includes happiness in personal areas of life. So, we're going to talk about what we have learned, what our keys to success are, and what mistakes to avoid. So, brothers, I want you to look at this from maybe two perspectives. One is if you could have a conversation, if your present self could have a conversation with your younger self, what information would you share? What wisdom would you share? Another perspective is if your children were to watch this video in the future, what do you want them to learn from it? So here's how I want us to do it. We're going to walk through several stages of life from early adulthood all the way to late adulthood. You brothers ready?
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Whenever you are.
All
Let's
right.
roll.
First up, for the young person deciding between college, the military, and going straight into the workforce, what guidance can you offer? I'm going to kick this off with something that I always explain to young people. Education is the one thing that can never, ever be taken from us. Okay. This is my piece of wisdom on this. You can lose your house, you can lose your car. The state can show up and take your children from you permanently, but you will die with your education. It is the only thing that can never be taken from you. Okay. So that's something to think about because even if you end up homeless on the streets, if you have that education, you can rise back up and lift yourself from those streets. When I say education, I'm not just talking about a bachelor's degree, I'm talking about a trade, an associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD, MD, whatever it is. But you always have the necessary key to unlock those doors to climb back up that ladder. All right. So, education. LV, you're up first. What pieces of wisdom would you like to share for a young person who is trying to decide between college, the military, and going straight into the workforce?
Unless going straight into the workforce to an actual career, not just a job, I would say that should be the third alternative out of those three. College or military. Okay. Once again, be honest with yourself. If you aren't the greatest student, college isn't for everyone. You know, I may, point someone maybe toward the military direction in order to get them some type of structure to get them on a path for them to be able to be more productive going forward. If I were to talk to a young me, as much as I hate authority and for somebody to tell me what to do, I had an opportunity to go to a military academy. If you have an opportunity to get into a military academy, I strongly suggest you take advantage of that, because not only do you end up with a 4-year degree when you come out of there, when you finish that 4 years in the academy, you come out as a second lieutenant. You're an officer. You're not a grunt. So that's going to immediately put you in a higher income bracket. Also, you're going to also more than likely have a bona fide trade that once you do come out of the military, that will convert over to the civilian world. You'll also have your background where you're military or civilian. That'll help you develop something that forced upon given to me as a teenager and being young, the idea of how that's what when I or any be smart with your money. Okay, it's nice to have some nice things, but you don't have to have everything. Start saving a little earlier. Things I would tell the younger self, what I'm just trying to instill into my daughter, as well as anybody else's child, if I spoke with them.
Okay. Coleman, what are your thoughts on this?
Shit. I'm still shocked the radio.
Oh, that matters.
Listen, because I said if your kids watch this video in the future, what do you want them to learn from it? That might
she our daddy as hell. I mean, that ain't no secret.
Oh, okay. So that wasn't it.
No, if you know me, you know all that motherfucker gonna say motherfucker asshole. Goddamn.
There you go. He's wide awake now.
So y'all wake up and shit. I was keep it, on the straight and narrow. Shit, I told y'all I overslept. Hell.
Yeah, he's starting to get fired up now. That's the LV we waiting on. All right, Kobe, what are your thoughts on this? What guidance and advice would you share to a young person? These are questions from actual young people that I am getting a lot from my seniors in high school that are trying to figure these things out. These are questions that actually come up in therapy. So, Coleman, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's a good question, but I think it's difficult for people like us in our, age range, because it's so much different now, right? So going into the workforce now doesn't mean necessarily at the meat packing plant or at the oil, or even at GM, whatever the case may be, all very good jobs. Not doubting that at all, but that's not what going into the workforce these days means. Now that is people, creating content, in the technology realm, you know what I mean? So that whole thing of going into the workforce looks different, and they have the ability to be entrepreneurs and make, loads of money without necessarily going the college route. But I think it goes back to what LV said, is you have to know yourself. And then you also have to have a support system, because most people who enter the workforce, even if you're in the technology field, it takes you a little while to get on your feet, but they oftentimes make six figures, even as entrepreneurs. So it all depends on what that skill set is. Have you been channeled in high school and things of that nature, where you've been put in your position to have a skill set? I think when we came along, it was like everybody go to college, and then if you want to specialize, engineering, doctor, something like that, you did your additional schooling to get into those fields. But I'm with you all. I think the best place to find your way, to figure out what you want to do, who you want to become as you grow up, is college. And I think that, like you said, JP, that's in various form. It could be a trade school. People make good money as entrepreneurs, being, HVAC, things of that nature. So I think it all comes back to the individual. For me personally, for me, the military was one of the last things that I tell kids. And not because I think it's necessarily a bad option, but it also comes with a component that is a life changing component, and that's war. So you have to be, honest about who you are, what your nature is, and things of that nature. So I think it really depends on the individual. Um, for my kids, if I could tell them something that I wish I knew at a young age, it would be, don't chase possessions, but live for experiences. Um, like myself, I was a grown adult the first time I left. First time I went to Mexico, left the country, going to Jamaica, doing things of that nature. Whereas we had friends, and not necessarily friends, we had associates a lot because we went to predominantly white university. So you're watching these kids go to, Padre for spring break when they're young. They're having these life experiences that I didn't get till I was an adult. So I would tell the young me, don't chase cars, don't necessarily chase, big houses or a lot of clothes. Put yourself in a position where you feel comfortable in who you are, but chase experiences, travel. And I think John was talking about putting it on the bucket list and, doing things like Iceland outside of the traditional Caribbeans that people in our community normally do. So, but that would be the thing that I would tell the younger me, and the thing that I try to implement with my children, is we're trying to have experiences more so than possessions. You know what I mean? And even when those experiences are things like having people over to the house, so when I had people over, I'm kind of selfish because I don't ask people to bring anything, because I like to be able to control my environment, how people gonna eat, what you gonna drink. I'd like, if I want you to have a, and you come into my house, well, I'm gonna create that experience. I'm not asking you to bring it with you. I'm creating it because it's something that I want you to be a participant in. You know what I mean? But for me, a big thing is just chase experiences. Don't chase. Huh?
Can I interject one thing?
LB, go ahead.
And for anybody that go to this ninja's house, if you don't drink, don't go. Get in.
And if you don't
we
eat,
like to do
don't go.
shots.
This is my favorite.
You that's all. It's good time.
I mean,
Yeah.
since LB already threw that out there, I'm gonna say this: you are my favorite. So not only if you don't drink, don't go to his house, but if you don't eat, don't go to his house, because this is a real cook. He is going to prepare a meal that you gonna remember. Yeah,
I don't know about that, but we're gonna eat. You know what I mean?
right.
You can't have
but we gonna eat and we gonna drink. I like to do shots with my guests. So,
Johnny Quick,
I don't
what
drink enough, never
advice
said
do you
something.
have to share to our
He would
young
have
people?
something for you, John. Trust. It wouldn't be alcoholic, but he would have a shot, some non-alcoholic shot. All right, it wouldn't just be regular grape juice.
And some good
yeah,
food.
we want you to participate.
Johnny, what advice do you have for our young people on this?
Well, for me, it's almost similar to what has been said, but coming from speaking to a younger self, I kind of went the untraditional route. I started working when I was 16, and I stayed with the company for 23 years. So, and during that time, I went to college and did all the other stuff. And I received a call from the military to where they were like, you could be an officer because I had a degree. But for me, that wasn't it. And so, what I would say to young people is you have to sit down and be honest with yourself. I can't tell you what is best for you because you have to know what's best for you. If you look at it from the standpoint of security, the military could be the way of making sure you get college paid for, making sure you can get a low interest loan, and different things like that. If you're looking at a career, you want to research what it takes to have the career you want to do. If it's a trade school, if you have to be an apprentice, if you need to get certain certifications, what you need to do, and if it's to be an entrepreneur and learning from that. So what I would say is really know what you want and where you want your outcomes to be, because Coleman kind of touched upon it. It may not, success is different from everyone, and you have to define what success for you. And materialistic things are not typically, that's not everyone's typical sign of success. It could be having the security to take care of your family and what route you take to do that. It could be the ability to not necessarily be rich, but don't have to worry about the lights going to get cut off this month because the money's going to be in the bank. And you look for ways of how that's going to make you successful, because there's some people who is very rare, so don't think it's everything, but have gone to work at McDonald's and become millionaires. And so it's all in how you set out and want to be. So if, talking to the younger me was on task to be a lawyer, but because I was dealing with my mother's health and I wanted to make sure she was all right, I forgone the whole thing going to law school because I had taken the LSAT and was ready to do that. But you never know what your life is going to be, and and it took me until really late in life to understand the reason I was going to law school wasn't really to practice law; it was to be an advocate, and that's kind of what I do anyway, without having a law degree. And so um, we have to really understand what path we want to do and what we're trying to accomplish, because the same goal could be reached going down a different pathway versus the traditional pathway of getting to that sign of success we think we want.
All right. I like it that, and LV pointed this out, but it sounds like Johnny Quick and Coleman, y'all both agree. It really does boil down to knowing yourself. Some young people need to go straight to college um, from high school because their mind is still in full absorption mode. That was me. You know, for me, it would have been, if I would have waited, I would not have ever went. But other people need to experience life and have some time to continue to grow, to give them time to prepare to be the best student that they can be. So it really is about who you are as a person. Something else I want to say about the military option, because I used to be opposed to that option. But one of the things that I have to note is that my nephew, who is a therapist, he took the military route and was able to get his degree while he was active duty serving. Now, at the same time, when he was deployed, because he's highly intelligent, he was not in infantry. He wasn't out there with people shooting at his head. He was doing something technological that had to do with mines, landmines, or something along the lines of that. So he was deployed, but because of his scores, he was not in, I don't think he was in the danger that someone in infantry would be in. But I did note that when he got out of the military, he did have his bachelor's degree and he didn't have to pay for his master's degree. So the military is a route to a free education, but you do have to, as Coleman was pointing out, you do have to take into consideration that if you end up in infantry, you have to ask yourself, okay, is this going to be a life-threatening decision in order for me to get a degree? So that's, you know, something else that I want young people to take a look at. Another thing is, in our society, I think that people think that there's a hierarchy as far as school is concerned. My mother made more money than me in the 70s than I make right now. And she was a beautician. She ran her beauty shop. She ran her daycare. She had her foster kids. And so, I know nurses who have a 2-year nursing degree working as RNs who make 6 figures a year. And so what you do is you identify your passion. I don't agree that there's a hierarchy. I agree with what Coleman said for those who choose not to go to college, because there are people who make a living off of TikTok videos. So there are more options now. It is about knowing yourself and figuring out what your path is going to be. All right, next question. For the young person preparing to enter college, they've made the decision that's the route they want to go. What advice or suggestions do you have for them on choosing a major or a profession? I'm seeing young people who are struggling and in a bit of a panic, thinking that they're supposed to have their whole life planned out at 18. So, LV, what are your thoughts on that? Choosing a major, a profession. Do you have any advice or suggestions for our young people?
Once again, you have to really know yourself, and I would suggest going into a field which is something that you enjoy, because that's how you can stop a job from just being a job. You want to enjoy what you do to earn money. So I would say, look at what courses that you're currently good in. If you're very strong in math and sciences, then you should look toward maybe some engineering type of occupations, or maybe even, and if you're a caring person, maybe even take that into the medical field. That way, you're going to excel as far as whatever the education or be a trade school or college, as far as the courses that you're going to take, they're going to come a little easier to you, because that's something that you're drawn to. Because JP, yourself, you've always been in the therapy type stuff. That's something that, because like you said, you've always wanted to help people. So that's why it was easy for you to continue in that. And you didn't have to have somebody kick you in your ass for you to finish it and go ahead and go through it. So that, because me and my daughter were talking about that just yesterday. Because I was telling her, these are the things that you're strong in. Also, you're going to be able to make a very good income and take care of yourself and take care of daddy when he's old and decrepit and he can't get around. So but you don't want to be, because there have been times that I've had jobs that, when I come home, somebody say, how's your day? Because once I leave that place, I don't want to think about that place. So I got to be back there again. So for what I tell younger people, get into something that you enjoy. That way it's not so much of work, or like, man, they got me working so many hours. It may be something that you really love to do. So basically they may be paying you for you to receive your own enjoyment. Plus you're getting the enjoyment and you're making the money.
Okay.
That I look at. One, you have to know yourself and be honest with yourself. And you can't want to be an engineer because your uncle who is has been maybe your the male influence in your life, and this is what he did and all of that. Maybe engineering ain't your thing. Maybe really it is to be on a social worker, helping people, or in some other capacity. Maybe college just ain't your thing. Maybe you're artistic. Maybe you want to be a tattoo artist, but you have to put yourself in a position to where you're around the most skilled tattoo artists so that you can learn from them, pick up things so that you can become that. So you have to be honest with yourself. Don't just do it because that's what your best friend's doing. That's what your grandma did. That's what grandpa wanted you to do. They can want all that for you. But if you really can't do that, be honest with yourself, or maybe that's not something you enjoy. You may have the ability to do it, but that's not something you want to do. So be honest with yourself. That you have to get to know yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's you that's going to be responsible for yourself. You cannot depend on somebody else for your own happiness and success.
Okay. Johnny Quick, you have anything you want to add on this?
Oh, yes, definitely. What I would suggest is If you're not sure what you want to do, your first 2 years should be at a junior college. The reason why it should be in the junior college because those first 2 years are the core. So any major that you decide upon, you have to knock out your core, and unless you have a scholarship, it's cheaper to go to a junior college so you don't rack up that much debt. And then when you become a ready to go to a junior and decide your major, then that lessens the blow of having debt, and then you'll probably have a decision on what you want to do. Now, I speak from a person when I told you that my original goal was to be a lawyer. Well, my undergrad degree is in economics, and my master's is in education. So it's two different spectrums. And what I do is I was in corporate America for 23 years, and currently I'm in nonprofit. So your life can change even in the middle of your season of life. You can change and decide you want to do something else. So even to say you have a major in something you enjoy, you may come to a point in your life is like, you know what, I did enjoy that for a period of time, let me move over here. But what you need to realize is you must maintain your skill set. So if you have to make a change for whatever reason because you enjoy to, or you have a layoff or there's a career change, you have those skill sets that you've learned and you'll be able to flow into another career because in the at the underlying the basic root, all jobs, all employment, all occupation have a basic root that's connected in all of them. What you have to do is ultimately learn what it is the terminology and the language in that field. Corporate America language is different than nonprofit, but the meanings are the same. You just have to change the vernacular that applies to which one you're speaking to. And so, going back to the original thing, if you're not sure, it's okay. It's all right not to be sure. But because a long time is a lifetime is a long time to live with a mistake. So it's best to use those first 2 years, try to figure out who you are and what you want to do in life and go through a community college. And then when you kind of closer to being a little bit more sure what you want to do, then that's when you branch off into a 4 year and get a degree into art. Or if you don't want to go into a 4 year, you can branch off and do a certification or become an entrepreneur or a trade school.
All right.
Can I add one thing to what John said, and it bounces back to what something you said as well?
What is that?
And multiple streams of income.
Yes.
Whether you know it or not, your mother was instilling in you about multiple streams of income. You said she had her daycare, she was a beautician.
Right.
So she had all this different money coming in. John kind of touched on the same thing. You know, you have to take that other step. Like I said, if going through a community college, you can be working at the same time. And one thing that I didn't mention as well, if it's something that you want to do, and while you're in college, if all possible, try to get your whatever little job you have somehow be in that field that you want to be in, because at that point you're gaining experience. Because you can come out with a degree, people still want you to have some type of experience. If you've never had anything to do with what they're doing, it's fine that you got a degree. All that's showing is really at the end of the day that you can follow some type of instruction. But you know what? I need somebody that can get in here and they gonna grab it real quick as well as follow these instructions. So that's just helping adding a little, that's another feather in your cap.
Right. Okay, Coleman. What
before we go
advice and
ahead,
guidance do you-
so before we go, I got to go ahead and point some shit out real quick.
Okay.
Do y'all realize Lil Jon is using our show as a date nap? Did you hear what they're talking about? Did you hear what they're talking about? Did you hear that shit? Talking about, I got my bachelor's in economics and my master's, and he used the vernacular to talk about the season of life. He over here word pimping, and ain't nobody gonna say that about that.
Hey, he's single. He got to do what he needs to do.
Shout over here word pimping, using the show as a date nap. Talking about, my bachelor's in economics and my master's.
Part of that mind fuck. He already creeped up into the cerebellum.
LV, you know he gonna do that.
Yeah.
Dude.
Talking about careers and how did we get over here?
Yeah, y'all can't just let this scenario by like that didn't just happen. Okay, what was the question?
We said
Okay.
game.
What guidance and suggestions do you have for the young person who is trying to figure out a major and a profession, struggling with that? Do you have any guidance, any advice on them trying to figure out what they want to do?
I'm struggling, John. Over here, word pimp. You know, it work on me and too, John. I'm over here ready to date you. The thing that I'm over here ready to date John.
Well, do you have
I'm sorry.
anything else to add to this?
I think it's very important to have learning agility and to be nimble. And what I mean by that is, I still don't know what I want to do, but my passion is impacting people, right? So, I mean, we're all degree. I get a job in insurance, and nobody wants to be the insurance man. But I said, you know what? This is just God's platform for me to be able to work in my passion. So I make sure that I try to impact people by making sure they understand the intent and the content in the insurance product, you know, the policy. I try to make sure the people who are coming up under me and work on my team, that I'm preparing them for management and trying to instill different, you know, passive thought about insurance, how you approach people and things of that nature. I think if you find your passion, even if you don't know exactly what you want to do, if you find your passion and you apply your passion to what you do, you'll have various opportunities, because as you impact people and your message starts getting beyond you, people will return to you with opportunities to do different things. And the other thing that I would tell people is always run towards what everybody is running away from, right? So as a young person, or you know, trying to decide between things, and all your friends like, man, I don't want to study no more, I want to go to college. Well, you might think about that, because there's nothing that everything worth having is going to cost you something, and brain power is what school costs you. It costs you time. So I think you want to run towards schooling, whatever form of schooling that is. And I think something that John hit on when he starts talking about, you know, having bachelors and masters, and Gerald, you know, you can speak to this as well, is that education and learning doesn't stop with something like something with a title, a bachelor's or master's. You know, a lot of what you learn is going to be life experience. It's going to be how you deal with people. It's going to be learning within your field and being able to apply those learnings to the next situation. And then that's where we got back and we talked about that learning agility, being, you know, nimble, adaptable, being able to maneuver in different worlds. The one thing that I think they don't teach in school, but school is really based on, is networking, right?
Mm.
So I didn't trust a lot of people, but one of the first dudes I ever met at K-State, his grandfather owned a Pepsi distributorship, which he was going to give to the grandson, because he told the grandson, because he wanted to get married, he said, if you go to college and get your degree and don't get married until after you graduate, I will give you a Pepsi distributorship. Dude, I should be calling that dude right now, talking about how you doing. That's the type of networking that we don't always take advantage of. That is an important component of school. So when you start talking about school, whether it's junior college or whether it's going off, learning to network is an important component of that. I would not have been good at junior college, because if I had gone to junior college, I would have went to one in Kansas City, one of the local junior colleges. I would have been doing the same shit, hanging with the same people. Good people, I love them to death, but that wasn't what I needed. I needed to be away where I was seeing something different, where I was experiencing different things, and I was learning different things, which is how I came into contact with you gentlemen. And in that, you put yourself in an environment where people are moving different and talking different. I can always come back to Kansas City and talk the language of Kansas City, but I can also go other places that Kansas City has prepared me for, with that Midwestern sensibility, has prepared me to go out into the world and be able to be adaptable and interact with people from various backgrounds and things of that nature. But I think going away to K-State really taught me and moved me along that path. So yeah, you got to know yourself before you go off. You have to find a field that you want to study in, because the only thing a degree says is that you have the ability to learn, unless you're doing something like therapy, engineering, a doctor, specialized fields. Otherwise, it just says you have the ability. So you want to put yourself in the best learning environment that you can. You want to put yourself around people. And it was something Russell Simmons said: I never want to be the smartest person in the room. Because if you're the smartest person in the room, who are you going to learn from? Right. So you always want to be around people that are doing things, that are going places, so that you too will be encouraged. Your eyes will be. I ain't gonna lie to you. I've known John for a long time. I never ever thought about going to Iceland, but now he got me considering it. You know what I mean? Because he's exposing me to something that I had never thought about. I had never been exposed to anybody who went to Iceland. John brought that to our lives. So networking, being open to various types of people, being outside of your normal environment, as you look at these fields and what you're going to do, all of those things are an important component of that. And I don't know if we give enough thought to those things. But again, understanding your passion, understanding what you do, what gift, because everybody has a gift. Everybody's been given a gift. Understanding what your gift is, and then using that gift and applying it in whatever environment, whatever your job is. If you can apply your gift to that job, now that job becomes less of a job and becomes something you enjoy doing. Right. So I get back to what LV said: nothing wrong with enjoying what you're doing, but it may not always be in the field you envisioned yourself in. If you know what your passion is and you can apply your passion to where you are.
And here's something that I want to add to that when it comes to identifying your passion. School is easier if you are studying something that you are passionate about, even if it is something that is complicated, like engineering, for example.
Molecular engineering.
For people who love math and who love science, and that's their passion, engineering is not difficult for them. Now, someone like myself who's mathematically challenged, that would not be a good fit for me.
Okay. Say it again. And when you say it, say mathematics with a capital M and challenge with a capital C.
My business on the streets. Okay. For those of us who took college algebra more than a couple of times. More than a couple of times. That was, but that is.
Here I am taking calculus too, and you up here struggling with college algebra.
I struggled with college algebra to the point that I had an argument with my advisor that algebra had nothing to do with psychology. But what she made it clear, and this is something that one of y'all that you were saying, Johnny Quick, is it didn't matter if it wasn't to graduate, I had to get through it. But my point is, identify your passion in school will be easier for you. The other point that I want to make is for young people who are intimidated by the idea of going to college because you feel like higher education means more difficulty. I challenge that belief. I feel that the further you go in school, the easier it gets. And let me explain why I say that. My master's degree was a 72 credit hour program that required 2 years of practicums, which is unpaid internship, a 5-hour licensing exam, another 2 years of post-graduation clinical supervision every single week, and then a second 5-hour clinical exam in order for me to practice as a therapist. But all of that was easier than getting my bachelor's degree. And getting my bachelor's degree was easier than high school. Because in college, where you taking 3 or 4 classes a day compared to high school where you take 7. And so don't be intimidated. Ooh, college is so much harder. College gets easier the further you go along. A 72-hour credit hour master's degree, but the doctorate is only 52 credits with no practicums, no post-graduation clinical supervision, and can be attained without even writing a dissertation. College gets easier the further you go. So do not be intimidated that, ooh, it's college, ooh, it's so hard. That is not true. All right.
You just can't
Next
majoring and partying.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
was my problem.
I was good at partying.
Yeah, I got. Hey,
They don't really get
is it?
a degree. It's
Hold
not
on.
accredited. Hey, I know a lot of people that got
Degree in partying. If there was a degree in partying, LV, you would have one, and Coleman, you would too.
My doctorate. I think I have my doctorate by now. Shit.
So here's my question for you, brothers. And I'm going to just throw this one out there. If y'all have something to say about it, put it out there. College dating and relationships. Do you have any guidance, any advice, any wisdom to share on dating and relationships on that college level?
Let's go to Big Pimpin' first.
Oh, LV.
You want to start with LV? LV, what do you have to say about that?
Let's start with Big Pimpin'.
Well, he wasn't talking about me. Somebody else. You see,
The word
is
the word pimp.
Okay, let me kick this off. I think that it's a mistake.
Hey, can I raise my hand first?
Yes, go ahead.
Can we all pledge that we're gonna be honest about this dating thing?
Yes. We're gonna be. I don't know what the hell that was supposed to be.
Come from the guy of referrals.
To me.
Watch
Gonna be
yourself.
honest. This is my only piece of wisdom I want to share. For young people, I ain't going in the direction, whatever foul direction you was thinking, Coleman. For young people, I think that it is a mistake to underestimate the importance of college level dating. And here's the reason why. When you are in college, it is a buffet. It is a smorgasbord of dating options. And a lot of times college students are so busy having fun dating around that they fail to realize that post-graduation, life outside of college is slim pickings. The dating pool shrinks considerably. There's a reason why there are so many people who are married to someone that they met in college, married to their college sweetheart. Take college dating seriously, more seriously, I'm going to say. I'm not going to say seriously because you do need to have fun, but keep in mind that the dating pool shrinks drastically after college. So it's not all fun and games.
This comment coming during the season of homecoming and all these people rekindling those college sweetheart days. But hey, I digress.
Okay. Johnny Quick, what are your thoughts on college level dating?
I'm just gonna say enjoy your life. Myself, I didn't get to go away to the traditional college like my brethrens here. I was in college and working, so I didn't get to have as much fun as the rest of the crew. So what I would say
That ain't what the streets is saying.
Right. See, that's why I said, can we be honest up in this?
Being honest.
I said that ain't what the streets is saying. But anyway,
I think Johnny Quick knows that there was two wild heathens on here. I ain't saying no names. Okay.
I'm just gonna put it like this: since it's been alleged that I could have a PhD in partying, it's awful amusing that I didn't know Johnny Quick at the time, but at quite a few events that I was at in Kansas City,
He was
oh,
there.
seen Johnny Quick there, and that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah.
I was out there a little
I
bit.
ain't never been the one where he wasn't there.
Right.
I attended events. I didn't say I didn't party. I attended events.
Mhm.
And the streets
So
don't
we got-
talk
we-
because my streets are silent.
Word on. Okay,
Coleman.
word is different.
Hold on. I have a question for
What?
Coleman. Coleman, as one who is married to a woman that you met in college, what do you have to say about this?
Yeah, but I met her in my late college. Now I didn't meet her in my nasty college.
I was part of the experience.
I had a run. I had a run there that was special, man. It was epic.
It was special.
It was a run, dog.
It was special.
Listen. Before you get into any relationship, you have to be ready for a relationship, right? And most of at young ages are not ready. I was not ready for a relationship. I literally was having multiple relationships at one time, trying to make them all work. I had a good run, bro. Man, I remember one time we went back
Accepting all
to a
referrals.
party. Yes, I didn't turn no referrals down. We went to KU one time, man, for a party, and I saw this girl. We was talking. She was like, "Where you been at all week? I ain't seen you all week." I was like, "Shit, I don't go to school here." But we was down that part. But we party so hard that people will be like, I did not know you didn't go to school here." I'm like, "No, I just turn y'all's parties out and then go back." So yeah, I had a good run, but no, this gets back to what we've been saying consistently. Know yourself, know what you are ready for and what you aren't ready for. Because dating is a loosely used term, right? So I had a lot of people who would tell you that we might have dated for a period of time, but I didn't have a whole lot of relationships. You know what I mean? So I'm not. Yeah. What'd you say, Obi?
It's what the young people call situationships nowadays.
Yeah.
What you said.
Situationships. Yeah, they probably would have had an apostrophe S on them too. You got to know yourself before you dating and getting into relationships. And I met Sheila later on in college, but you can't go about dating willy-nilly, one-timely, impact people. And although you don't have an intent to hurt people, your words do impact people, and it can have long-term impacts. And so I was very cavalier with relationships early on because I didn't. I was of that hunter mentality. You know what I mean? Everybody's praying. I'm out here hunting. I'm trying to shoot you down. And I didn't lie to women. They all knew I wasn't shit. But for some reason, they continued to, get into situationships, as Laverio said with me. And I impacted a lot of people. And I did it in a way that was negative. So if there was anything that I could take back, I wish the people could see my intent, because my intent wasn't to hurt anybody. Although I wasn't living a very authentic life, because I didn't tell them about each other. I never lied to them as far as saying it's me and you, but I didn't tell them it's me, you, and Miss Molly, Beth, and whoever else. So I think you got to be careful in looking at relationships at such a young age. It gets back to knowing yourself knowing who you are, knowing what you're ready for, and then being honest with the people around you when you figure out they're not the person you're ready for it with, right? So relationships, I always liked relationships. I was always in a relationship, but most of the time I was in a relationship with multiple people, thus impacting people negatively, even though my intent wasn't to hurt them. I just like a lot of people at the time. I liked everybody. So I just think it's something that, again, you got to know yourself before you start getting into relationships, especially at a young age.
Okay, let's take a look at something that helps people to make it through college, which is having a support system. So, extracurricular activities, to pledge or not to pledge, as well as other groups to consider. I'm going to kick this off by saying this. Believe it or not, pledging undergrad typically results in lifelong bonds. But for those who are not down with that, there are professional organizations that are a wonderful support system. NSBE, the National Society of Black Engineers, and then for those who major in business, they have their organization. These groups can be a very key integral support system to help you get through college. Okay, now, brothers, I want you guys, what feedback and suggestions do you have for young people when it comes to extracurricular activities, support system? What are your thoughts?
I think it's very important. Oh, John.
I'm gonna say this: you don't go to school to pledge. You don't go to school to party. You don't go to school. If you're going to go to school, first make sure your education is your priority, and everything else will fall into place. Now, if you know how to live a well balanced life, you can do it, because any of the organizations you join are going to require a great part of your time. Initially, the first part of joining or becoming or being affiliated with is going to require a great deal of amount of time. So I would suggest to do it after your first semester or even the first year of college, so you can have your grades set up and you know your habits and what you can lack, or you know when you don't need to study. You know who you are, so you can deviate from that plan, because you don't go to school to drop out after the first semester because you partied too much.
Okay.
I would like to touch on.
LB?
I like to touch a little bit on what John was saying, as far as maybe if you're talking about joining a Greek letter organization, wait a couple semesters or a year or so. But if you are, you're going as a freshman, this campus have, because this will also put you into study group with those light
Yes.
that may help something that you didn't catch in class, or maybe they understood it and then they can relay it to you, and vice versa, you to them. Where you start building those relationships and foundations, not just to be with somebody, in a relationship like that, but it's a relationship that will foster and help you grow. As William mentioned, when he first got to K-State, the person that he met, whose grandfather that was with Pepsi, had he really, really, like he said, and if he would have known better, he would have fostered a relationship that would have carried over the years. So it's not just joining an organization that you think that you want to be in, as far as a fraternity or sorority, but it's whatever that particular segment of occupation is. If it's in engineering, like you said, maybe if you're in journalism. And it doesn't always have to be something that's solely toward whatever your ethnicity is. Don't bottleneck yourself. That's your opportunity to explore different aspects of the world and get different opinions, so that you can learn. Because once again, you're always learning. And as he said, the primary goal of going to college is to learn, is to absorb and retain all types of different information. some of the stuff, no, you may not ever use it again. It could just be a lifelong lesson to hell. When you hit 52, be like, damn, that shit came up about 30 years ago because I couldn't hang out with such and such. No, so, you know, a little something that might point you in a direction. So always keep yourself open, because that's the more people that you expose yourself to, the more things you're going to learn, be it good or bad. It's an experience. Don't sell yourself short on being able to be exposed to something just because it's different. But get involved. That way you find out what you want and what you are about. You know, you might be a person that might start that might be one vibe. Anything crazy, JB. Okay, that was just that.
All right. Coleman, what are your thoughts, your suggestions on a support group, support system to help get through college?
I think they both kind of summed it up. Yeah, I think they both kind of summed it up in what type of organization you want to go into. I know for us, they gave us this one piece, and I think you all know it. And I'll just give you the first part of it. But goodwill is the monarch of this house. Men unacquainted enter, shake hands, exchange greetings, depart friends. Cordiality exists among all those who abide within. I am the imminent expression of friendship. Lives once touched by me become tuned and are thereafter amiable, kindly, and fraternal. So when you look at that stanza, now you say, all right, I need to make sure whatever organization, whatever group I'm going to join, they're of goodwill. They want good things for me. They want, they're about the betterment of me as an individual, as well as the betterment of society. I think, it talks about goodwill is the monarch. You know what I mean? It also gets in, it starts talking about once you engage those people, they're, kindly, amiable, and fraternal. That means there's a camaraderie, a friendship there, a bond there. These are people who want good things for you, and they're going to turn you on to good things. They're going to, it's like you all, sometimes we just get random texts. Hey, such and such stock's going to split today. Hey, have you all thought about getting a rental house? We share those things as a group just randomly, not because we're trying to say, look at this, superior knowledge, but because you are trying to say enough for all of us. There's enough opportunity for all of us. If the house that you're talking about going into isn't going to do that, it's the wrong house. If they don't have, you know what I mean? So I don't know if you can say somebody should or whatever it is that they may be thinking about doing, but whatever it is you are thinking about doing, make sure, like you all said, they're of like mind. But again, goodwill has to be the monarch of that house, if that makes sense. So
yes. Okay. So here's our last question for today in part 1 of this series. We're going to break this into 2 parts. So the next time I'm hosting, we're going to cover life after college. But here's the last question for today. What are y'all's advice and suggestions on keys to making it to graduation? I'm going to kick this off by saying my suggestion is adjust your study habits to fit your particular needs. I, for example, have a bad memory. And so I had to study 5 hours a day to get through college. When everybody else was ready to leave the library in 2.5 or 3 hours, I had to be willing to do the extra 2 hours because of my bad memory. So you have to know yourself well enough to make the necessary adjustments in order for you to achieve success. So that's my advice. That's my little nugget of wisdom that I have to offer. All right. Now, what do you brothers have to say about that? Coleman, you're up.
Balance.
You have any thoughts on that? Keys to making it to graduation?
Yeah, you have to have balance. I don't think there's anything that you do in life where you can be all. You have have to build in times to have fun, times to explore, have experiences, but there needs to be a level of balance there so that the studying, you recognize that it's worthwhile. You understand what the end goal is, while at the same time you study and have something to look forward to at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the semester, whatever the case may be. But have balance. When I first went to college, I had no balance. And as I came into balance, I became a better student. So balance is the real key to not only going to college, but it's going to be the key to your after college life. So look for balance. Find ways to find balance, so that again the studying is worthwhile in the short term because you know the long term goal, but also having something to look forward to at the end of the day, so you can say, "Hey, I'm gonna hang out with my friends. We're gonna play chess, whatever the case may be, whatever your enjoyment is, basketball." But find a level of balance there to help you make it through.
All right. LV.
I would say learn time management. Time management, and I would say make it as elementary as actually getting a notebook and breaking down, or a day plan and breaking down your day hour by hour. Like I said, you have to study, you have to work, you fit in time. You need to have time for yourself so that you can enjoy. But if you follow your schedule, it's just like having a budget as far as taking care of your finances. If you have a budget and you stick to your budget, your bills are going to be paid. Then you can also plan for other things, because you can start making sure that you save a certain amount each pay period or however you're doing. And you plan out, well, I know I want to do this in 12 months. Okay. You do your little math calculations. In order to have the money that I need, I got to save X amount of dollars every month. Make sure you adhere to your schedule. It's the same thing with managing your time. Time management is going to help you in no matter what field you go into, so that you're a productive employee for whether you're working for somebody or working for yourself, especially working for yourself, because every second is your money. So you don't want to waste any of your time, because time is one thing that no one can get back. You can recoup monies that you may lose, but when you waste time, that time is gone. It's never coming back. You can't be like Maxine Waters and say, "I'm reclaiming my time." No, in real life, you can't reclaim that time once it's gone. So learn time management, and that is a key to
LV.
30 minutes to do this, 45 minutes to do that.
Yeah.
some. Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Johnny Quick. Yeah, you were
You was
breaking up a little bit, but I think
I thought it was
we
me.
caught most of it. Johnny Quick, what are your thoughts on keys to making it to graduation?
I'm gonna say this, and this applies to life. To be on time, what? To be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late,
It's to be
and to
late.
be late is to be left out. And that applies to podcasts. That applies to life.
He's coming for y'all. He's
See,
coming for y'all.
But no, but seriously,
Look at Kobe.
but seriously, you do have to be punctual as far as class. Get there early so you know what's going on. If you can graduate early, you set an end goal, set landmarks, set things that you're striving for, so you can celebrate the small success instead of letting it overwhelm you. Because sometimes people get overwhelmed, like all of it's coming at me. But if you say, you know what, my goal this year is just to get through this semester, that my goal this year is at least get a B in this class, and just set those goals. I'm gonna do that by getting there early, setting up time to speak to my counselor, my teacher, whomever. I'm gonna get there and set up these study groups so they can help me be successful. So you have to set some goals along the way, and you have to know how to be on time managed and be present, and it's not just float through and waiting for life to come to you necessarily. be aggressive and go conquer the world.
All right. I would like to thank you, brothers, for sharing all of the wisdom that you have shared today. When we do part 2 of this, we're going to talk about keys to success professionally, financially, when it comes to what is our definition of success when it comes to family, parenting. We'll get into all of that when we get into part 2. But you brothers offered up a lot of wisdom. I wish that I myself, as a young person, would have had access to a lot of the things that y'all shared today. That's our show for
You
today.
wouldn't have listened.
Thank
You wouldn't have listened. He wouldn't have listened.